Tonight, it's now noisy and messy for BBI proponents after Major General John Say cast aspersions on the report before retracting his statement. Also tonight, politicians are yet to learn to obey COVID-19 protocols, and the public is not any better either. Some say the masks are tiring. Plus, it's a big reprieve for truck owners and drivers after the High Court suspended the government's directive requiring all cargo from the port of Mombasa to be transported via SGR. And after 4 days of vote counting in the US, Joe Biden has emerged the winner with 284 electoral college votes, trouncing the incumbent Donald Trump. A very warm welcome to our Saturday night news. My name is Mumbi Chege. Our sign language interpreter for tonight is Faith Shetile. Now, Joseph Biden Jr. has been elected the 46th President of the United States, defeating incumbent Republican President Donald Trump after 4 days of intense tallying across all 50 American states. Biden, who garnered 273 votes after successfully flipping the state of Pennsylvania this evening, Kenya time, has now crossed the 270 electoral college vote threshold required for a candidate to be announced president-elect. And our reporter David Mudoka is working on that report. But right now, let's take a look at live pictures from Washington, D.C. as crowds gather to celebrate Joe Biden's win, the Democratic candidate. Thousands of Americans have gathered at Washington, D.C. to celebrate Joe Biden's win. Let's take a look at that. Thousands of Americans gather at Washington, D.C. to celebrate Joe Biden's win. And our reporter David Mudoka is working on that story. I'll also be speaking to two Kenyans living in the U.S. to just get a feeling on the ground and what this means to blacks and more so minorities at Biden's presidency. Now, politicians are still leading the pack in disregarding COVID-19 containment measures as set out by the Ministry of Health, despite punitive enforcement by the Health Ministry. Now, measures read out by President Kenyatta earlier this week. Now, Mwangi Maina, our reporter, reports the crowds are still being gathered for political meetings.
It was a political meeting organized by a Nyeri Town Member of Parliament Ngunjiru Wambogo to sensitize his constituents on the recommendations of the BBI report. Despite President Uhuru Kenyatta's tough talk as he introduced some of the COVID-19 containment measures, politicians are still holding political meetings, throwing caution to the wind, probably praise songs and dances from their followers, blinding them from the reality that the virus is still here with us. Hundreds of Nyeri residents thronged the meeting, with just a few observing the COVID-19 containment protocols. Not everybody put on their mask, and those who did were hanging loosely on their necks. Wambugu held this meeting alongside politicians Gathoni wa Mushomba and Kanini Kega. In Kimilili, Bungoma County, the situation was the same, carried in the air with shoulders high. After commissioning 6 classrooms in his constituency, Kimilili Member of Parliament Didmas Barasa forgot the COVID-19 containment measures, leaders who had accompanied him, calling on the government to close schools if need be, as COVID-19 infections continue to surge.
Watoto ni wetu, na we are risking their lives. Ningeomba waangalie kama imekuwa mbaya sana, like tumeona Kolanya, jana tuliona shule ya Bahati ya Nakuru. It is a worrying situation. Even our teachers are losing their lives.
I would call upon each one of us to join the crusade so that we take care of ourselves, take care of our families, our children, and we do believe there is no permanent condition in the universe.
The opine that pupils and teachers are not safe in schools and their health should be prioritized. Mwangi Maina, TV 47, Nairobi.
Now let's go. Several people have been arrested in Narok County after they were found flouting COVID-19 rules. Elsewhere, religious leaders in Uasin Gishu County have castigated President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive of 20,000 shillings penalties for those found without face masks in public places. Similarly, residents from Nairobi County are calling upon the government to reduce the penalty, rather to an affordable amount to accommodate. Wanjiko Zainab Mohammed with the details.
President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive of a 20,000 shillings penalty or 6 months jail term for those who are found without face masks in public spaces has elicited mixed reactions from Kenyans as security agents continue to enforce the directive in different parts of the country. In Narok County, at least 6 people have been arrested after they were found flouting COVID-19 rules. According to the County Commissioner Evans Achoki, the operation will be ongoing until January, with those who break the rules facing the wrath of the law.
So the enforcement is on daily basis. We are going to be very thorough and serious, day and night. Hapa nimesikia mpaka sasa anasema mkienda join na papa na nakabiana. Hizi ni mapubs, mali wanakunywa pombe na kwenye vijijini.
Also, religious leaders in Uasin Gishu County have castigated President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive of a 20,000 shillings penalty for those found without face masks in public spaces. According to the leaders, the directive will not succeed in behavior change among Kenyans. The leaders now calling on the government to come up with a more moderate solution.
Kama viongozi wa kidini tunaona kama ni mlango unafunguliwa wa ufisadi, kwa sababu siwezi kushikwa mimi kwa sababu sikuvaa barakoa ikawa faini yangu ni 20,000, nitatoa shilingi 500 yule polisi aniachilie. Na hili tunawaambia serikali mara zote wanapotaka kupanga masharti yoyote, huwa tunaona ni kama tunafungua milango ya ufisadi.
Kama interfaith na viongozi wa kidini sehemu hii, tukiona maaskari wetu hawafanyi vizuri tutawaripoti.
And residents of Nairobi County have called on the government to reduce the 20,000 shillings penalty on those flouting COVID-19 rules. The residents, many of whom are flouting the rules, say the penalty should be reduced to accommodate Wanjiku.
Pesa ni mob sana. So inadepend watu wanapakua, kila mtu anapakua kutake his or her responsibility, because enyewe ukishikwa hiyo dona ni mob, na kama una sutaka ndani.
Hiyo pesa inafaa ipunguzwe ikuwe kitu kama 500 ama 200.
Zainab Mohammed, TV47.
Now let's go back to our first story. Joseph Biden Jr. has been elected the 46th President of the United States, defeating incumbent Republican President Donald Trump after 4 days of intense tallying across all 50 American states. Biden, who garnered 273 votes after successfully flipping the state of Pennsylvania this evening, Kenyan time, has now crossed the 270 electoral college vote threshold required for a candidate to be announced president-elect. Let's get more information from our reporter, David Mudoka.
After nearly 50 years in public life and 3 tries for the White House, former Vice President and Democrat presidential candidate Joe Biden Jr. is the winner in this year's race to the White House, defeating incumbent Republican President Donald Trump after 4 days of nail-biting suspense over the outcome of Tuesday's presidential election. This comes a few hours after Biden successfully took control over Trump's backyard state of Pennsylvania, garnering a 49% lead over his challenger Trump, who trails with 49.2%, as stunning peaks in the state. Pennsylvania not only becomes the latest but the most crucial victory for the Biden campaign and has now seen Biden garner 273 electoral college votes, 3 votes over the 270 bare minimum needed for a candidate to be announced president-elect. Turning 78 in just under 3 weeks, Biden will be the oldest president to occupy the iconic White House and faces an uphill task in steering a country that has been ravaged by the coronavirus pandemic in recent months, as well as pulling together a country that has grown divisive in recent years. Biden, popularly referred to as Uncle Joe, will be deputized by Senator Kamala Devi Harris, now Vice President-elect.
Life is a journey, and we all have ups and downs, highs and lows, and celebrities are no exception.
Do you know I couldn't pay rent? Do you know there's a time I went 3 days without food? If you read my book, I ate Colgate for dinner.
On Coffee with Movie, we get up close and personal.
Kaluma Strong ina aspirin kama kiungo.
Candid conversations that are inspiring.
Nani alisema mimi si mtoto wa Mungu? Mimi nakwambia matajiri wanakuanga wamedharau watu.
Humorous. And life-changing.
Success is value system and the legacy you leave.
Coffee with Movie, every Sunday at 8 p.m. only on TV47. Every muscle, every
kupiga mbizi ili kuokoa waliozama mtoni.
Any pain.
Hapa inaonekana kuwa kazi ya wachache tu.
We have just the right doctor.
Na kwa kutupilia mbali wazo la kazi hii kuwa ya kibarua, yuko huyu anakiri kuwa imeyainua maisha yake pakubwa.
Join us on Body Garage every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Because we care.
Na wakati hayumo majini,
how do you like your meals?
anaelekeza muda wake shambani. Kazi zote mbili kwa jumla sasa miaka 10
spicy and savory.
Usikose makala ya Kitega Uchumi Majini Jumapili hii saa 1 jioni, nami
The Throwdown, we bring you our chef of the day, who gives you ideas on how to make amazing meals from the comfort of your home.
Kwa waliozama mtoni. Hapa inaonekana kuwa kazi ya wachache tu. Na kwa kutupilia mbali wazo la kazi hii kuwa ya kibarua, biko huyu anakiri kuwa imeyainua maisha yake pakubwa. Na wakati hayumo majini,
kazi yangu hapa inakuwa ni irrigation. Hii nafurahianga nashikilia weekdays, Monday to Friday.
Anaelekeza muda wake shambani, kazi zote mbili kwa jumla sasa miaka 19. Usikose makala ya Kitega Uchumi Majini Jumapili hii saa 1 jioni, nami Nanok Lauren. Ni kupiga mbizi ili kuokoa waliozama mtoni. Hapa inaonekana kuwa kazi ya wachache tu. Na kwa kutupilia mbali wazo la kazi hii kuwa ya kibarua, biko huyu anakiri kuwa imeyainua maisha yake pakubwa. Na wakati hayumo majini,
kazi yangu hapa inafurahianga nashikilia weekdays, Monday to Friday.
Anaelekeza muda wake shambani, kazi zote mbili kwa jumla sasa miaka 19. Usikose makala ya Kitega Uchumi Majini Jumapili hii saa 1 jioni, nami Nanok Lauren. Ni kupiga mbizi ili kuokoa waliozama mtoni.
Hapa tumesema mara kama 10.
Hapa inaonekana kuwa kazi ya wachache tu.
Kuingia kwa ile maji unafanya kujitolea juu ule mtu anakulilia na niwe tegemeo, hakuna mtu mwingine anaangalia.
Na kwa kutupilia mbali wazo la kazi hii kuwa ya
on Joseph Biden's Jr. win as the elected 46th President of the United States after garnering 273 votes after successfully flipping the state of Pennsylvania this evening Kenyan time and now crossed the 270 electoral college vote threshold required for a candidate to be announced president-elect. Our reporter David Mudoka has details.
After nearly 50 years in public life and 3 tries for the White House, former Vice President and Democrat presidential candidate Joe Biden Jr. is the winner in this year's race to the White House, defeating incumbent Republican President Donald Trump after 4 days of nail-biting suspense over the outcome of Tuesday's presidential election. This comes a few hours after Biden successfully took control over Trump's backyard state of Pennsylvania, garnering a 49% lead over his challenger Trump, who trails with 49.2%, a stunning peaks in the state. Pennsylvania not only becomes the latest but the most crucial victory for the Biden campaign and has now seen Biden garner 273 electoral college votes, 3 votes over the 270 bare minimum needed for a candidate to be announced president-elect, turning 78 in just under 3 weeks.
Barua
will be the oldest president to occupy the iconic White House and faces an uphill task in steering a country that has been ravaged by the coronavirus pandemic in recent months, as well as pulling together a country that has grown divisive in recent years. Biden, popularly referred to as Uncle Joe, will be deputized by Senator Kamala Devi Harris. Now, Vice President-elect Kamala Devi Harris is the first woman and Asian American to become America's second-in-command. The announcement comes after a tense 4-day ballot counting marathon, while tallying is still on course in the states of Georgia, Nevada, Arizona, Alaska, and North Carolina. Biden, who also leads in the states of Arizona Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia might end up winning in the landslide, trouncing over Trump, who will become the 11th sitting American president to be ousted from office. In a statement, incumbent Trump has, however, refuted Biden's victory projection, stating, "We all know why Joe Biden is rushing to falsely pose as a winner and why his media allies are trying so hard to help him. They don't want the truth to be exposed. The simple fact is this election is far from over. Joe Biden has not been certified as the winner in any states, let alone any of the highly contested states headed for mandatory recounts or states where our campaign has valid and legitimate legal challenges that could determine the ultimate victor." David Muthoka, TV47.
Thank you, David Muthoka, for that report. And let's now talk to two Kenyans who live in the USA, Jean Ayako, who resides in Texas, and Paul Kamondo, who resides in Georgia. Let's start with you, Jean Ayako, if you can hear me. Thank you so much for making time for us this evening. Obviously, Texas, for a long time, has been a red state. What is the feeling on the ground at the moment after Joe Biden's win?
I live in Houston, Texas, so you know Houston was blue. And right now we're visiting friends in Dallas. Dallas is blue. So the mood is very energetic. We're so happy. We're going out there to celebrate because this election means so much to me as a Black woman in the United States of America and also as an immigrant. So I'm very, very happy.
Right. Paul, if you can hear me, Georgia has been incredibly red for a long time, incredibly Republican, and Biden seems to have turned it blue. What do you make of all this?
Well, I'll start by saying there's a lady called Stacey Abrams who ran for the governor's seat. My opinion is different. I think she won, but what happened. But she's been on the ground with encouraging people to register to vote. So she's been able to bring new energy into Georgia. And this energy is what has translated to us becoming blue. Which we're very proud of. Very proud of.
Right. Going forward, do you see Georgia becoming a swing state?
Yes. Going forward, it shall be a swing state. Predominantly, there are a few things that have changed also in Georgia. With Tyler Perry bringing studios over here, there is a lot of young liberal people who are now coming to Georgia. Then there is also the fact that there are a lot of people who are moving
by the coronavirus. Vice President has in his own and say our campaign
what is TV47 a red state. So I think we're headed towards being a swing state and leading blue mostly.
Let's get back to you, Jean. You mentioned as a Black woman, this is a win. What does it mean? I mean, for the longest time, minorities and more so Blacks have felt really neglected when as elected and 46th president of the United States after gathering 204 the minority
and 3 tries for the White House.
I believe men are going to be a strong voice moving forward, especially women, because Trump, if there's something Trump managed to do was to make women feel like we are not worth anything. He was this president who was constantly very disrespectful to women. So with the Biden leadership, I believe as a Kenyan immigrant woman, I can make changes in DC. I can go and engage congressmen and senators, and I know that they will listen to me because Biden is going to heal our country and bring that healing and that unity that we've needed and craved for a very long time. So I'm just amazed at the beautiful things we women are going to do moving forward. It's just amazing. I cannot put words to it.
Right, and Trump has decried of electoral malpractices, saying he'll go to the Supreme Court. If he does go to the Supreme Court, what is the likely outcome?
I don't think he's going to win because, first of all, Nevada is calling Biden as a winner right now, projected by the Associated Press. So the margin of winning is very clear. One thing I really hoped for was for Biden to make the margin so big that it's going to be very difficult for Trump to prove anything. Right now, as we see Biden's election team are already telling Trump to bring it on. They're ready to go to vote. Meaning that they're very comfortable, they're very confident of their win, which is a true win for us.
Right. Paul, what are the main issues of concern for immigrants living in the U.S., and do you see those issues being addressed and solved under Biden's presidency?
Yes, well, under Trump there was a lot of uncertainty. I mean, we were somehow not perceived that we belonged here.
Right.
And there was similar hatred everywhere. So we were uncertain of how things will be. I mean, the extremist movements were becoming more proud of themselves. I mean, they were more open in their sentiments. And so there was so much aggression towards migrants and a lot of hatred towards us. The simple fact that Biden has won, it means that that hatred has to come down now. I mean, the Proud Boys can no longer call themselves Proud Boys. I mean, they lost.
Mm-hmm.
So the pride that comes with such statements has now to simmer down. So that gives an immigrant the confidence, the feeling of now I've been accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And now that comes with a lot. The fact that now you feel confident in where you want to work, if you want to open a business, if you want to, just progress how you want to progress.
Right.
So now we feel we are part of this community again, which we were feeling we were not.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jean, let's talk about Biden's plan in, handling COVID-19. And in the past, he's insisted that public health professionals should be at the forefront, in making decisions in combating COVID-19. Is this viable? Do you agree with this? Can this really work?
Absolutely. It's gonna work. I work on a COVID unit, and I see COVID firsthand every single day. And this is a serious situation that Donald Trump took as a joke. People are dying. It's real. I mean, 2 days ago, the United States experienced the highest number of COVID cases ever. 100,000 people are sick. And this is, shocking. I know Biden, and I trust Biden, and I know he's gonna go through what the plans that they came through with Barack Obama a few years ago. They had a disaster management handbook that they left in the White House, as Obama said, that Trump totally neglected. You have to trust the experts. You have to trust Dr. Fauci. You have to trust the infectious disease doctors. I mean, right now, I'm seeing better outcomes as a health professional because of convalescent plasma, because of remdesivir. We hope that these are going to be implemented by Joe Biden. And from the way he's talking about it, it's serious. Remember, his campaign was based on COVID pandemic. So we will beat this.
Right. Paul, do you agree? Also, Biden has mentioned about locking down states in his plan in combating COVID-19, about locking down states that have high numbers. Would this be effective, according to you, Paul? I'd also like to get your perspective, Jean, after Paul weighs in on this.
I think on locking down the states, because of how the law is, he cannot be able to totally lock down the United States. What he can do is probably encourage the governors to lock down the states. Mm-hmm. But I don't think locking down the state is the premise of the problem here. The premise of the problem is we had a president who did not acknowledge the severity of this disease. I mean, to him, COVID was a hoax. And that translated in a lot of people thinking it's a hoax. And that's why the numbers here are like nowhere anywhere else in the country. Mm-hmm. So if we have a president who takes this serious, he doesn't necessarily need to lock up the country, but the fact that he starts advocating for all the CDC guidelines that are being stipulated, and the population will follow the tone set by the president, then we shall see everything else now, or we shall see COVID coming under control.
Right.
But as long as, on my case, it's not a question of locking down, but the tone of the president, what he sets as an example, and him speaking about the severity of this disease will make the population take it serious and take the required measures that are there.
All right, Jean, your sentiments on the lockdown?
I agree with him. I don't think a complete lockdown is the solution right now. However, we need to sensitize the community on the importance of social distancing, wearing a mask. Just exercising precaution and knowing how serious it is, because Trump totally ignored all these things. He never wore a mask. He got COVID. Look at all these staffers that are sick right now. All of them are on some kind of quarantine. We don't even know where the Attorney General Bill, Mr. Barr is right now. Because he's probably sick, you know. So this needs to be taken seriously. This disease is not something to joke about, and I believe Biden is going to be able to contain this.
Right. Thank you so much, Jean Ayako in Texas and Paul Kamondo in Georgia, weighing their sentiments after Democrat candidate Joe Biden has just been declared the elected president, 46th elected president of the United States of America. Now let's get back home. Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju and ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna insist that the BBI report will not be amended to allow some few people's interests will ignore the BBI steering committee by failing to present their views. They will say the BBI roadmap is set and will be interfered with in a separate interview with the political affairs reporter Elizabeth Mutuku. The two have dismissed claims by Supervisor General Georgia. Let's just review Jean Ayako saying that. Thank you so much for making time for us this evening. Obviously,
2 days after retired Major Say claimed that the original BBI report was doctored by some individuals in the government, the Jubilee and ODM party secretary generals have dismissed the claims they are ringing to produce the original document, if any. In separate interview with TV47, Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju and ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna say that Say and other people opposed to the BBI report are out to derail the referendum as stipulated in the BBI roadmap.
So, if somebody says, oh, you know, there are things in the report
we were somehow
stated at the level at the time of gathering views and so forth. It's true. It's true. But the solution cannot be gathered from the 90s sometimes. Let him show you the report that they had prepared. Because you see, people should not just throw out propaganda. You should hold him to account and ask him, where is that report that he's saying we don't have 70 members? Because we know that the views were given on how to go about solving the gender question in the Houses of Parliament. Various
the feeling of now I've been accepted. And now that comes with a lot. The fact that now you feel confident in
other than the mixed member proportional representation that many people advocated for.
The duo,
just progress is how you progress. We feel we are part of this community again, which we are feeling we're not.
All right, Jean, let's talk about Biden.
We were somehow not perceived.
And in the past, he's
completely locked down. Lockdown is the solution right now. However, we need to sensitize the community on the importance of social distance. Complete lockdown is the solution right now. However, we need to sensitize the community on the importance of social distancing, wearing a mask. Just exercising precaution and knowing how serious it is, because Trump totally ignored all these things. He never warned. He got COVID. Look at all these stuff as a sick right now. All of them are lockdown is the solution. Wearing a mask. Just exercising precaution and knowing how serious it is, because Trump totally ignored all these things. He never wore a mask. He got COVID. Look at all these stuff as a sick right now. All of them are on some kind of quarantine. We don't even know where Attorney General Bill Barr is right now, because he's probably sick. So this needs to be taken seriously. This disease is not something to joke about, and I believe Biden is not able to contain. It's not something to joke about, and I believe Biden is not able to contain this.
Right.
Biden is not. This needs to be taken seriously. This disease is not something to joke about, and I believe Biden is not able to contain. Trump totally ignored all these things. He never wore a mask. He got COVID. Look at all these stuff as a lockdown is the solution right now.
We were somehow not perceived that we belong here.
Right.
And there was similarly hatred everywhere. So we were uncertain of how things will be. I mean, the extremist movements were becoming more proud of themselves. I think they were more open in their sentiments. And so there was so much aggression towards migrants and a lot of hatred towards us. The simple fact that Biden has won, it means that that hatred has to calm down now. I mean, the Proud Boys can no longer call themselves Proud Boys. I mean, they lost. So the pride that comes with such statements has now to simmer down. So that
want to get everybody on board.
The confidence,
The High Court in Malindi has suspended the government's directive that requires all imported cargo to be transported via the standard gauge railway from Mombasa. The court, through a 5-judge bench, ruled that the government had not engaged the stakeholders in its decision-making, suspending the order by 180 days.
The High Court in Malindi has suspended a government directive that requires all cargo imported through the port of Mombasa to be exclusively transported to Nairobi using the standard gauge railway. A 5-judge bench comprising of Justices Lydia Achode, Eric Ogola, Anthony Mrima, Joel Ngugi and Pauline Nyamoya ruled on Saturday that the directive violated the constitution as it was not subjected to public participation.
The respondents were bound by the provisions of Article 10 of the Constitution, particularly the participation of the people, human rights, good governance, integrity, transparency, and accountability. The first, second, and third petitioners and the first and second interested parties also contended that the respondents variously failed and or neglected to comply with and as such violated Article 10 as read with 47 of the Constitution.
The court further said that the directive was administrative in nature and that the Kenya Ports Authority and the Kenya Railways Corporation should have involved the Kenya Transporters Association and other stakeholders in its decision-making, further suspending the directive by 180 days to allow the government to regularize the order.
At a minimum, to meet the constitutional and statutory thresholds, the third respondent had to do the following. A, give notice of the intended directive to the fourth petitioner, importers, transporters, other port users, and stakeholders. B, accord an opportunity for the fourth petitioner, importers, transporters, other port users, and stakeholders to be heard on the question. And C, give reasons for the decisions made, in this case, the impugned directive.
The government had on August last year given the directive, rendering hundreds of long-distance truck drivers jobless, even as the SGR continues to make at least 3 cargo trips every day. This court ruling comes as a relief to these drivers for the next 6 months until the government regularizes the order. Musa Salah, TV 47.
Thank you, Musa Salah, for that report. President Uhuru Kenyatta today paid a courtesy call to his Italian counterpart, Sergio Mattarella, at his Quirino Palace in Rome. The courtesy call on the margins of President Kenyatta's official visit to the Vatican sought to cement Kenya's long-standing relationship with Italy as a key development partner. Now, during the visit, the two leaders discussed several subjects of mutual interest between Kenya and Italy, top among them trade and investment, tourism, and the global fight against COVID-19. In an interview ahead of the high-level courtesy call, Kenya's ambassador to Italy, Jacqueline Iyonga, said the visit was aimed at strengthening Kenya's strong bilateral ties with the European nation. I'd also like to get your perspective, Jean, after Paul weighs in on this.
I think we're looking down the states because of
So in the area, the other area that we are also cooperating is in the health. You can remember that Italy was the epicenter when the COVID began in March. And they've managed to overturn that now to be the showcase of the best case study in the way they have managed COVID. So Kenya stands to benefit a lot from lessons learned from their COVID situation.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on our Saturday night news. Let's take a short breather. We'll be back with the sports news in just a moment.
Life is a journey, and we all have ups and downs, highs and lows, and celebrities are no exception.
Do you know I couldn't pay rent? Do you know there's a time I went 3 days without food? If you read my book, I ate Colgate for dinner.
On Coffee with Movie, we get up close and personal. We have candid conversations that are inspiring.
Pawenzi is the perfect place to get away from the hustles and bustles of the city. Rest and recharge in our cozy bedrooms as you plan to move around Mombasa. At Pawenzi, we have fully serviced studio apartments, 1-bedroom and 3-bedroom apartments. Enjoy the breathtaking and scenic views from the balcony before you head down to Shanty Beach. Located right off the Malindi-Mombasa highway, Pawenzi is easily accessible and ready to receive you with the joy that is synonymous to Mombasa. Call us today and book your staycation spot.
We have just the right doctor.
Looking for the smoothest writing pen with an excellent grip and long-lasting ink? Kaluma Pen is all that and more. Write your own success with Kaluma Pen.
Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Because we care.
Experience the luxurious, airy and elegant spaces with soothing ambience at Bamboo
How
Loft.
do you like your
We
meals?
are your home away from home. These creative workspaces are tastefully designed
Sweet
to
and
inspire
tasty,
you
spicy
to take
and
on
savory.
your next project. Bamboo Loft is where comfort meets convenience. Its ideal location in the
Throwdown,
heart of
we bring
Westlands
you our
provides
chef
you
of
with
the
quick
day.
and
Gives you
easy
ideas
access
on
to
how to make
offices and
amazing
amenities
meals from the
within
comfort
Westland
of
and
your
the
home.
CBD. Book with us today to reserve your spot.
Every Sunday from 6:30 p.m.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Looking for the smoothest writing pen with an excellent grip and long-lasting ink? Kaluma Pen is all that and more. Write your own success with Kaluma Pen.
Je, maumivu ya kichwa na kukosesha amani? Kaluma Strong hutuliza maumivu ya kichwa